All right, let's zoom in. And there we are. Maybe, not quite. I got to get it centered up just right. And then it cuts it off.
Are you live yet?
Yeah, we're live.
Okay,
and
cool. We're doing it. We're jumping right in.
We're on the internets now. We're internet famous.
Nice.
All righty. So, is that set? Are we in the frame? We're here. Good. Just lean back and relax.
Let's do this.
Well, good morning, everybody. I'm here with Samantha, Albin. Samantha, what brokerage are you with? I didn't want to get it wrong, and I should have researched it before I walked in, but what's your brokerage?
I am with Waypoint Novin.
Waypoint. See, I was going to say something completely different. Waypoint Novin. All right. And you've been with them for a couple months now?
Since October of 2025. Excellent.
And how long have you been in the industry?
5 years.
Okay. So you've got some history. 5 years puts us, 2021.
That was January 21.
That was not a great year in real estate.
It was one of the best years in real estate that I've had. Yeah.
So you're saying the year since
I won an award from KW for being having the most sales volume as a rookie.
So that works.
My first year, so I was super proud of that.
So you've got some experience under your belt. Mm-hmm. I like it.
Yeah.
Well, we're here to talk about real estate and mortgages. Mostly real estate because mortgages are boring.
Mm-hmm.
And the question,
real estate is never boring.
Real estate is not boring at all. I just got off the phone with a customer. I was driving in trying to get this set up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's horrible. I can't help you because that's all real estate. Mortgages, we just kind of say yes or no. But yeah, it's
I had a similar conversation on the way in. I had to call a home inspector, and we're having delays and whatever. So he was like, that sounds like it's tough for all like you realtors. And I was like, it really is.
Not great for
It's unfortunate.
All right. Well, we had a little bit of a pre-conversation setting up for this one, and it really came down to what bugs you in the industry, what isn't coming out in the industry that buyers should be aware of, sellers, maybe real estate agents maybe should be doing more and they're not. What do you want to kick off? What would you want to present?
So one of my biggest pet peeves or frustration about other professionals in the real estate industry is communication.
Okay.
It's because communication is key. Communication can be a deal breaker.
Yeah.
A lot of problems and transactions can be handled by simple communication.
Right.
Delays, buyers lose confidence because of delays and lack of communication.
Right.
We want to keep the clients updated so everybody's aligned with the timelines that we're dealing with, so there's nothing unexpected, and when unexpected stuff does happen, we're able to handle that effectively and efficiently to save time.
Right. We don't want to hold on to that secretly. We don't want to not share the information because we want to get ahead of it and adjust it. And in the interviews that I've done, that's a constant theme is everybody thinks that communication is important, yet it seems like people are failing in that character. Why do you think people aren't communicating, or what keeps people from making that a priority for themselves?
I'm not sure. Okay. I wish I knew to be able to handle my own timelines and clients effectively, because when you can't communicate with one person, unfortunately, there's a whole line of people. Right.
There's a stack of people that
we need to call and update and need to be updated. And sometimes we can't update them because we can't get a hold of an
important
key person,
vendor. Yeah.
Right. In the transaction.
Part of it. Okay. Excellent. Well, what else do you think? What else is a problem or something that's not being said or not being discussed?
Something actually that has come up this week for us is buyer broker agreements.
Yes, I've actually had that conversation twice now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And so it's big. Just educating buyers on the buyer broker agreement and what we have to have in place in order to be able to show clients' homes.
Okay.
Whether that be a single property agreement or a blanket buyer agreement that covers the whole county and for a longer term. Whatever that is, but simply educating our buyers about what we need in order to be able to assist them.
So when you say it's come up this week, I mean, what about the buyer broker agreement comes up? What is it? Why is it a thing for you?
So buyers, we've had a buyer that was reluctant to
Okay.
sign a buyer broker agreement. So
Okay.
we tried to explain to her, unfortunately, we can't open a door without a buyer broker agreement in place. And just, we did our best to educate them, but
Okay.
there's still questions like, we've never had this before. Why do we need it now? Why is this so important?
And that's coming from the buyer. They're like, why do you
exactly.
guys need this? Why are you pushing me to sign this?
And unfortunately, sometimes we do the best that we can to educate those buyers and why we need a buyer broker agreement in place and why
Okay.
it's so important. But I mean, we're still having some pushback there.
Okay. So buyers are pushing back to it. And why do you think they're pushing back on it? What's their biggest complaint? What's their biggest hurdle? Why are they not wanting to sign a buyer broker agreement?
For this buyer in particular, she was a cash buyer. She was just really confused why she needed it, because for so long our industry has been driven by, we get a lead, we get in the car, we take off, we go show that house.
Right.
But now there's extra steps that we have to take.
Okay.
So, I mean, I think it's new.
Yeah.
It's new practice, so it's going to take some time for everybody to adjust.
So the question is everybody adjusting? Are all the realtors pushing that? Is it, and by standard, not is it required, but is it practiced by everybody? And why or why not, do you think?
I would like to say that it's practiced by everybody, but I have heard from buyers who are just calling listing agents or people from Zillow saying, hey, I want to see this house. I'm like, okay, well, we need a buyer broker agreement. I educate them before we set up the showing. And they're like, but why? I saw this house last week and they didn't make me sign a buyer broker agreement. Why are you making me sign a buyer broker agreement? So then we have to have the conversation of like why this is required, why we need it in place.
And it's a rule by the regulation, which for us is New Mexico Association of Realtors, NMAR.
Right.
And that came down from the National Association, which is in AR.
Right.
Okay. So this is a rule required by the association that this document has to be taken care of before a broker can show a property.
Right.
Okay.
Correct.
Got it. So legally, in your regulation, you have to have it. The buyers just want to look at a house.
Right.
Okay.
And it can be a single property agreement. It doesn't have to be long term. And I like to tell my clients, like, I'm not going to keep you to this buyer broker agreement if you really want out. Okay. There's ways around that. Okay. But I just ask for clear communication.
So what does the agreement lock them to? What are they agreeing to when they sign this?
So the buyer broker agreement is outlining duties as buyer brokers, what we owe to them, what they owe to us. It outlines our commission, how we get paid, how much we get paid. It's negotiable. You can absolutely ask the seller to pay that buyer broker agreement in your purchase agreement or your offer. But ultimately, the buyer is responsible for paying their own buyer broker. So it outlines our duties, our obligations to each other. Okay.
So is it not so much an agreement, but more of just a disclosure? It's like, hey, here's the things to consider, and now that you're aware, or is it a contract?
It's a contract. Okay. Essentially, we're working for the buyer, and that's what it's outlining, what we owe to them as our clients in the transaction, what they owe to us, which would be loyalty. Okay. So they work exclusively with us when that buyer broker agreement is signed. Okay. And then it ensures that we get paid. So that buyer broker agreement will go to lenders if needed, to the title company. Okay. So it outlines our obligations.
Got it. And just make sure it's clear and it's up front, and that
it's clearly disclosed.
We're getting into this conversation. We're getting into this contract to get into another contract to help you find those properties. Right. That way there's no question. Okay.
Right.
So I guess that's the thing, is they're skipping a step when they do a Zillow lead, right? You're just kind of, what's on the market? Ooh, I really like this house. I've always wanted to see the inside of this house. And they're curious. And so they say, hey, I want to go look at this property. And all of a sudden they're thrown this requirement of a document saying, well, you got to sign this document to come see the house. And just want to see the house. I've never had to do this before.
Right.
So those types of views, maybe not, they're not going to have as many people, but if they're wanting to get into the industry, or not industry, but to get into the market and start looking at houses, it would be best to identify a realtor and figure out which realtor is going to be their exclusive realtor. That'd probably take a lot of frustration out of it, I would assume.
You would assume.
Okay.
And a lot of people don't give a huge pushback for people that are a little bit skeptical of signing something.
Okay.
Like, hey, let's treat this as a trial period.
Okay.
Let's make sure we're compatible,
Okay.
working partners, because it's going to be a team effort to get to pre-contract all the way to closing.
Okay.
So let's make sure we like working together. Let's do like a buyer broker agreement for a week.
Okay.
Or a 3-day contract. We can make it for just a single property. If you want to go see something else, let's make an exclusive agreement for the whole county. So I'm able to show you more doors without signing a agreement every single time.
Right. Just say kind of the blanket agreement so I can give you more access. But if it's a non-committed individual and they were just curious about this property and it doesn't go through as their choice, then no problems, no issues there.
Right.
Okay, great.
But I think that's also good for us in the sense of like we're kind of weeding out the serious buyers from the not so serious buyers, the looky-loos that just want to see the inside of the house, because it's our time, money, energy going into setting up the agreement, to scheduling the showing, to using our gas to get out there. It's a lot of time and energy away from clients that we do have buyer broker agreements with. To assist this buyer that might not be so serious about buying. Right.
So then if you do have somebody who just want to see what's in the market, but they're not committed to getting in the market, are you seeing more open houses again? I feel like open houses kind of died out for a little bit. But now with this buyer broker agreement kind of being at the forefront of people getting in the industry, are you seeing more open houses and more people attending those? Or how is that looking?
I've definitely seen more open houses on the market. We get notifications all the time. There's open houses happening everywhere, all around us. I haven't been doing a ton of open houses because I'm just limited in time. I have kids and sports and so it's just life. But we're definitely seeing a lot of activity. I think the last open house that I posted, I definitely had more people come through than I ever have.
So we are possibly seeing a lot more attendance to those because they're not tied to a realtor, so they can go look without pressure, without obligation.
Right, exactly. And like a listing broker doesn't need a buyer broker agreement to be able to show their own listing. So
so like, hey, come see this house and come. So if that's what you guys call a sign call, right? So would it be showing their own house as a listing broker? So you have a listing and you're able to show it. So if you get a sign call, does a buyer broker agreement have to be signed by then because you're showing your own house that you're listing?
No, not necessarily. Unless they would like to see other listings that are not yours. You already have a listing agreement, so you're already being paid by the seller. You're working for the seller. So
well, and that does bring up kind of that two-sided coin, where if you're not committed as a buyer to a realtor, you see a house you love, you want to look at it, you get access to it by the listing broker. But then you're like, I really love this house. That listing broker at that moment would probably want the deal and say, well, I've shown you the house. Would you like me to be representative on this? That means now they're representing both the buyer and the seller. So while they didn't have to commit to a buyer's broker agreement, now I feel like that'd be kind of a weird pinch for a lot of people, because you've got the listing broker representing the seller as well as the opportunity to represent the buyer. I mean, how would a buyer feel about that, or what are your thoughts in those scenarios?
I think it would entirely depend upon what you have in your listing agreement. If the seller has allowed you to represent or assist unrepresented buyers. If there's an additional charge for assisting an unrepresented buyer in the listing agreement. If there's not, sign a buyer broker agreement. So to get paid as a buyer broker, you're going to need that anyway.
That's interesting. I hadn't heard that entirely, because you've got the buyer broker agreement that's new and it's happening. And then you have this listing agreement that I didn't know discloses to the seller or asks the seller if they're willing to let you bring in a buyer or have a unrepresented buyer assisted for the transaction. So both sides are being disclosed how the transaction is going to go. it all sounds like it's set up properly.
Right. And then in the listing agreement, the seller's only obligated to pay their seller's broker.
Right. They've already
So
agreed.
too, unless they've already disclosed that they will assess like an extra % or two to allow an unrepresented buyer to come in. Maybe you give them the forms. Maybe they say don't give them the forms. But I mean, it's always, I feel like it would help everybody to give them the forms, let them represent themselves, and then see how everything goes. Or you can sign a buyer broker agreement with that buyer, fully assist them as long as you feel comfortable representing both sides.
Okay.
Because that's a whole nother
that's a ball
sack of marbles.
Yeah, that's one of those things we probably need to sit down and kind of walk through it, because that can get sticky. That can get difficult.
It can get really sticky, really difficult. I don't really like doing that anymore. I used to, and I think it's a lot of liability.
Right, because who feels taken advantage of? Who feels like they got the better benefit? Like there's always that iffiness. Who you working for more?
Right, and I think we've all had those scary transactions where it got a little too sticky, a little too hairy, and like I had one of those where I'm like, maybe not. So if I ever had like a listing, I would look to buyer broker, my teammate, and be like, hey, take this, take this lead.
So that way both sides have their own support, their own team for them. Like it's somebody you're familiar with, somebody you like as the one broker, and you have another broker you're used to working with, but it's separate, and it allows people to, feel like they have somebody in their corner.
Exactly.
All right. I like it. Shifting gears, because I know we had talked about it a little bit when we first interviewed, the earnest money, and there's an additional fee. Explain that again, because I can't memorize those terms. I'm a lender, so.
So things are changing a little bit in New Mexico. Again, we have brand new forms. So these forms were just released not too long ago, and we all use different form providers.
Sure.
So they're not all released to all platforms yet, but they have been released to some. So these new forms are circling around.
Okay.
But now here in New Mexico, buyers also have to submit what's called an independent consideration fee.
Independent consideration fee. That's a mouthful. What is that?
So the independent consideration fee. So there were talks of the contract or purchase agreement not being a solid contract without there being consideration.
Okay.
So the consideration essentially is a non-refundable deposit that goes straight to the seller at the beginning of the contract.
Okay. And this is different than earnest money. This is a separate part than earnest money. Okay.
And it's required. It's not optional.
Okay.
So in order to create that contract, move that contract forward, an independent consideration deposit has to be delivered from the buyer to the seller in order to create a valid contract. So if that doesn't get delivered, contract terminated.
Interesting. Now, I mean, is this a good or a bad thing? Why was earnest money not enough? What is this new fee or consideration, whatever fancy definition they put on it? What is this meant to do?
Right. So earnest money, unlike the independent consideration, is a deposit that the buyer brings at the beginning of the contract that gets refunded back to them at closing. It gets credited towards their purchase price, closing costs, stuff like that.
Okay. So
there's a norm here in San Juan County. We see anywhere from 500 to 1,000 to 2,000 for those higher listings is what I'm used to.
Right.
An independent consideration can be any number. It just can't be zero.
Cannot be zero.
Cannot be zero, but there's other factors to consider. So if the buyer needs to wire their independent consideration to the seller, the title company will charge a wiring fee.
Sure.
So that's about $25.
Okay. So we have a wire fee of $25. And then I, as a buyer, I'm like, well, I'm only going to do a $1 consideration fee. So now I've just spent $26.
Right.
Okay.
So there's still some stuff to work out. It's brand new. I imagine it's going to take a while to educate ourselves, educate buyers. So it's going to be fun.
What do you predict is it a good thing, or in your mind, for the good part of it, for the benefit of it? What do you see as a good part? What is the benefit of this?
Not sure yet.
Okay.
We're still trying to figure it out. It's still brand new.
Right.
I haven't written up a contract yet because I prefer transaction desk over for my form provider, and
they don't
the
have
new
the form
forms
yet.
Aren't there yet. I have seen them. I've gone over them. I've printed them out. I've reviewed them, so I know what's there. Our QB has been training us on them.
Okay.
So I get it, but it's going to be interesting to see it
integrated through the system. Okay.
Yeah, and how title's going to deal with it, how other real estate professionals are going to deal with it and educate their clients, how we're going to educate our clients. So
every New Mexico contract is going to have a consideration fee.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Right.
What are the possible cons of this? What's the negatives to having this that you can predict right now? Or maybe the hurdles we'll run into?
Hurdles. I think just right now educating our buyers so they understand.
Okay.
Because as far as like what is being understood is without the independent consideration, you have no contract.
Okay.
So getting that to the title company on time or to the seller on time, so you have a valid contract, so you can move forward with everything.
Interesting.
So I think just because a lot of people, I think we're going to hear, well, we never had to do that before.
Right.
Why do we have to do it now? So we're really going to have to take the time to educate our buyer clients why this is necessary, why this was implemented, and what we can do to just move things forward.
Do you have an explanation prepped already? Have you already practiced how you're going to explain this, or not yet?
Because not really.
I would spend time like, okay, what is this supposed to be?
Right, exactly. I mean, obviously just educating ourselves, going over those forms, everything that we've been provided from NMR.
Okay.
Just reading, practicing, putting it into practice.
Okay.
And start educating our buyers that we have in our pipeline now.
Sure.
What they're going to be looking for when they do find.
Because they're shopping and they haven't gone under contract, so they haven't come across this. They've already done the buyer broker agreement with you, but they haven't come across on the contract.
Right.
So you're having to call them, say, hey, this new document came out. It discusses that we have to have a consideration fee on top of a possible earnest money. Right. So therefore, let's prepare you for that conversation. All right. Perfect. Well, let's take a moment and go to comments and see if anybody had a question. I can't move the thing. There it goes. Let's see. Anybody in here? Nothing yet that I can see just yet. Just kind of skimming through. I got to go slow because the last time I did this, I actually skipped comments.
Ooh.
I know, it was horrible and I had no idea. Okay, joiners, everybody in here. I'm not great at these lives for sure. So nothing yet. Just a lot of people taking a look, saying hello.
I've been trying not to look at the camera.
You're doing great. How do you feel about it? You feeling good?
I feel good.
You're getting more comfortable?
A lot.
Okay.
Easier than I thought it was going to be.
It really is. And all three of my people that got to join in and talk to me, they've done great. They haven't judged us whatsoever that I can see.
Oh, good.
So I'm feeling good. I don't see any comments. If you left a comment, I'll try to get back with you soon. But nothing yet. If you do have any questions, comments, things that we can try to answer on the fly, we will. Or maybe we'll take it to our next live. We'll see.
Yeah.
We just got to get the right comments. I wanted to shift gears with that because we did talk about how your current buyers right now, they're not being serviced by the industry as well as you would like them to be. You're getting those constant calls or those follow-ups where people are saying, nobody's actually taking me on as a buyer. And I wanted you to maybe expand on that one because I think a lot of buyers are feeling that right now with how expensive houses are. To a degree, the first-time home buyers and the young, newer buyers to the industry, they're not getting the service that they probably expected and to a degree deserve. Can you expand on that one? Because we did go into a long conversation with that.
We did. So I've had quite a few buyers lately this month, within the last couple of weeks, who are interested in looking for land because houses are expensive. Yeah. So buying bare land, maybe putting up a kit house or a new manufactured home, something like that.
Sure.
Like those are harder to come by because a lot of people want to be out of town.
Right.
Something that doesn't have a ton of restrictions. And then unfortunately, these lots that we're looking at are a little bit more pricey than like a lot in a coveted subdivision.
Sure.
So have had a lot of phone calls where buyers are like, hey, sorry to bug you. It's just land, but I'm interested in this land.
Okay.
Can you help me?
Yeah.
So I had a conversation with a buyer that said he had called several realtors before he got on the phone with me, and they didn't have time to show him the land. Maybe he felt like they weren't interested in helping him because it was just land. It ended up being a buyer. He was looking for land to buy and to build a new house, 3,000 square feet.
Holy cow.
A really good house, and he couldn't find anybody that wanted to help him because the lot that he was looking at was only $29,000.
Holy cow.
So he was like, I know it's not a lot. It's probably not worth your time. And I had to have a conversation with him and be like, hey, it doesn't matter the price point to me.
Okay.
A buyer is a buyer. You're going to get the same level of service for me in a $29,000 lot that you would like a $229,000
Sure.
house. Like for me, the price point doesn't matter. If you need help, if you're happy to buy it, I'm happy to help.
Okay.
So what do you need? So we started working through it. We saw the lot.
Yeah.
We met him out there, made sure he knew where the property lines were. And I've heard that from several people too. Like, hey, I'm interested in this lot. I have a realtor, but she won't help me go find it. I'm having a hard time finding the property boundaries. And a lot of these things are put on the buyer. It's their due diligence to figure out all the things.
Right. It's like buyer will figure it all out while I just attach my name to this tiny transaction.
Right, exactly. So I feel like land can be a little bit harder than people think. And I don't know if that's why people like to shy away from it.
Okay.
Or I don't know. I think if you get a good realtor, they'll be able to point you in the right direction to finding covenants, zoning, everything like that.
So interesting. Now that extends into even the first-time homebuyers with a smaller price point. You know, we've all discussed, especially in our area, that really trying to find a first-time homebuyer house without having to fight everybody, you're probably looking in the $300,000 range. $250,000 is where many of these first-time homebuyers qualify, but those houses are gone as soon as they hit the market almost, or it's a bidding war to snag it. And I think we had talked about those are also not getting service as well as they should. Just because there's nothing available for it. So, I mean, what are your thoughts to that? What are you working on towards that? How would you speak to buyers in that regard?
I have had a lot of calls like that. Buyers are getting frustrated because the market is what the market is, and there isn't a ton in that lower 200s, low 200s. So, yeah, I understand the frustration. It's not out there. We try to be proactive in our team. We're doing marketing, trying to find houses for our buyers in that price point that maybe match or meet their needs with mailers, postcards, letters, stuff like that. So we try to be proactive on our end, but I hear a lot of frustrations from buyers that like there's nothing in my price point. They feel like their realtor isn't listening to them. Or helping them or educating them, I think, and that maybe goes back to the communication, like showing your buyers what's on the market, keeping them updated, setting them up on a subscription so they get these listings in real time so they know what's out there. But I think just keeping a clear line of communication.
Okay. Setting expectations for it as well and saying, hey, look, your price point is really difficult, and maybe knowing how many of those houses come on the market and how soon they're gone. I mean, that can help educate a lot of buyers coming into it to where you can still retain them as a buyer instead of, there's nothing in that price point. You go ahead and you'll find another realtor.
Right.
Those buyers are still eventually going to be buyers. You want to take care of them, or you should. So
to nurture them for sure. Keep in contact. Just update communication. Like maybe they're not in a huge hurry. But you can keep them updated. You can prospect for them.
Have them on that, what's that word I'm looking for? Have them on that drip campaign, or, the natural thing that says, hey, here's some new hot on the market that might fit your price range. Perfect. Any other final thoughts, questions, things that we maybe didn't cover here that you wanted to cover, or something that was a big hot button for you?
Yeah, of course. Vacant land is always a huge thing.
Okay.
Let me see. I know we kind of talked about manufactured housing.
We did, and that was a long conversation as well. And
yeah. You know, it's always interesting because a lot of our county is manufactured housing. So knowing how to assist buyers and sellers in that transaction, I feel is huge.
Yeah.
We see a lot of delays happen that probably shouldn't have happened if we did like our pre-listing homework.
Sure.
Or our own due diligence
Right.
on helping the seller figure out exactly what they need in place to be able to expect a smoother transaction.
Okay. That may be a follow. We may just do a whole conversation about that because they are sticky. I know when I first got into this years ago, you know, they were even more difficult. The guidelines hadn't quite got firmed up for manufactured homes as easy. But because nobody was doing those, I took them on because I couldn't. I had to get whatever business I could.
You have to.
And, you know, you learn all the little ins and outs, the nuances. And it really hasn't changed since those rules.
Right.
There's some opportunities, but overall, when it comes to manufactured homes, they're their own beast. Kind of like how land is its own beast. So
they can.
We may follow up. Let me check to see if there's any other comments or questions we can quick answer. I feel like no, I haven't seen anything come through. I could
Maybe
be.
they're at the very bottom though.
I tried. I'm not good at this. Oh, that was my comment.
Oh, that's AI. Never mind. I was excited. I thought we had a comment.
You know what? I'm probably going to close this out, and as soon as we're done, it'll probably be there. So, well, thanks for joining us, everybody. If you do have any comments or questions, please reach out, let us know, and we'd be happy to help you. Thank you so much for being on this.
Yes.
Appreciate you being on here.
Thanks for having me.
Talk to everybody later.
Take care.